All righty, ladies and gentlemen, it is Thursday night, which means live Q&A here on multiple platforms. We've already got a load of questions up from the people that were just hanging out over there on the YouTube channel before we even went live. So starting 2 minutes early, about a minute and a half, 90 seconds early, earlier than we typically do because we've already got questions loading up and I don't want them to get backed up because I want to get to as many questions as we possibly can. Obviously, a big football game this weekend. Georgia versus Florida. It's always big. The last 4 years, it's decided who's going to the SEC championship game, and it's the biggest rivalry that both teams have. With Florida State being down, Miami being down, and their schedules having changed and not playing perennially anymore, and Georgia Tech being Georgia Tech over the last 10 years, it seems that they might sneak up on Georgia every once in a while, but it's not a year in year out type football game. It hasn't been in quite some time. Just kind of one of those games you got to show up for, but you don't necessarily have to show out for if you're Georgia to win. If you don't show up, Tech sometimes has a chance to win, but that is not being played this year for the first time since I think 1920. So this is literally the only real rivalry football game that Georgia has this year on the schedule. I know they had Alabama. They'll probably get Alabama again in the SEC championship game, pending a win this weekend for the Bulldogs. So you could call that a rivalry, but for the most part, this is the most anticipated football game in terms of hatred for the opponent for each fan base. So without further ado, we got a bunch of them already loaded up. So this is Q&A night. Fire in questions. We will answer them. We've had some trolls sneak in here the last couple of weeks. Let's try to keep those at a minimum. And I'll do a better job of making sure I'm paying attention to the trolls and catching them before I answer their questions. So don't get too tricky, even though I just told you, and now you're probably going to do so anyways. Especially now you're going to do so anyways. So you guys know how this works if you've been here over the last couple of weeks. Super chatters take precedence. So if you're a super chatter, we will get to your question 100% of the time. If not, we will go in order. And with that being said, let's get right into it. Any updates on injuries today? I haven't really been online that much today. Worked my regular job and headed home for my second job. Looks like Kenny McIntosh will not be available today or this weekend. Jordan Davis, very, very questionable. I know Kirby said he wants to find some role, see if Jordan can go in some type of role this Saturday. I don't know what that means. That's a whole lot of coach speak. One thing about the media being closed out of these actual practices is Kirby can, for the most part, kind of tell you what he wants you to hear in these media sessions because we're not there. No one's there. Everything that comes out of my injuries is us running down sources in terms of getting information out of those sources about injuries. And even then, it can get kind of hairy. So without us being there in practice to actually see whether or not Jordan Davis has been dressed out or anything like that, we don't know. George Pickens, I fully expect Pickens to go. It's been an upper body extremity injury, whatever the heck that means. So something in his upper torso, muscular wise, maybe even a nerve, has had an issue with him. And that's what kept him out of the Kentucky game. So I expect him to play. Kenny not going to play, and Jordan Davis not going to maybe play. He's questionable, doubtful, whatever terminology you want to use. I don't expect to see him play very much, if any, on Saturday. That's just my gut feeling on that. I don't have any major sourcing on that. That's just my gut feeling. And then obviously Richard not going to play. Julian Rochester not going to play. Sounds like Lewis Cine, from my knowledge last that I did, some research and some digging on it. I think he's going to be okay and ready to go. Apart from that, it's not as bad as it looked earlier in the week, but it's going to be okay. EJ808 asks, does Georgia need to throw for over 250 yards to win? I believe, and you can fact check me on this. So Georgia's won 3 in a row in Jacksonville. 2 of those 3 football games they've thrown for fewer than 250 yards. So no, there's a blueprint for Georgia to win this football game, taking the air out of the ball and just running the dang piss out of the football. That's what they've done over the last 3 years, and they've done it to success. So I don't really think that's the case. But who knows? Maybe they get into a shootout, have to score quickly with Florida. If that's the case, then absolutely. You got to score some points. You got to score them quickly. I haven't watched any Florida football this year. This is Robert coming back in. How's third and Grantham going for everybody else? Do you think we'll be good on third downs? Yeah, you're going to be good on third downs because, to answer your question, everyone's been good on third down. I said last night, during the what to watch for, what to look for, or what to expect episode of our live streams. We do those every Wednesday night for you guys. Yeah, Grantham's given up 49.5% of third downs this year, averaging 7.5. The opponent's averaging 7.5 third down conversions per game. They've given up 7 of 9 fourth down conversions to opponents. Yeah, third and Grantham's real. It was real when he was at Georgia, and it's going to continue to be real as long as he's calling defense. This is why another one of these reasons why guys are like, every once in a while we have a commenter when we're doing what to expect live streams and we're watching last year's tape. Everyone's like, why are you watching last year's tape? Well, because of that right there. Todd Grantham has been horrendous on third down for a decade as a defensive coordinator. Why? Because he refuses to change. Most offensive coordinators refuse to change. Todd Monken, I wrote an article on him on dogsdaily.com this week. He is historically, over his last 9 years prior to coming to Georgia, he has thrown the ball on 55.5% of downs. He threw the ball less than he ran the ball one time, and that was in 2012 with Oklahoma State. He's throwing it 42% of the time now at Georgia. What are the commonalities between 2012 and 2020? Oklahoma State entering that year did not have a quarterback with more than 30 career completion or pass attempts, not even completions, pass attempts. Georgia had the same scenario this year. They by the second game, they're starting Stetson Bennett, who was making his first career start. On the road against Arkansas, they were starting Dwan Mathis, who was making his first career start. So the two statistical anomalies in Todd Monken's history as an offensive coordinator, 2012, lack of quarterback experience, and for that matter, lack of trust at the quarterback position. 2020, same thing. Okay. So offensive and defensive coordinators do not change. They are who they are. Kirby Smart has been a 4-2-5 defense of mind for, I don't know, 8 years at this point. I think they might have snuck in some 4-3 stuff back in the day in Alabama when teams were still running heavy 12 personnel all the time. Coordinators are who they are. Just like Grantham is who he is. He's going to be horrible on third down until he realizes that, hey, maybe I don't need to engage 8 every single time. Maybe we should just play the sticks and get off the field. A punt's just as good of a turnover at that point. In the middle of the field, a punt is just as good as a deep turnover. If you force a turnover where the quarterback throws the ball 20 yards, where you're risking a possible touchdown or a conversion of the third down, why not just force a punt? See what I'm saying? Why not play the sticks, force the punt? That's my thing right there. EJ808, do you think Trask will be running for his life from Dogs D-line? Look, there's a lot of injuries. We know this. I already told you. We know Julian Rochester's not going to be out, so that's a big loss in terms of just experience. I thought he played really well last year in this Florida matchup. One of his 4 games that he played last year. Man, just a next level thing from Kirby Smart last year. Knew he was going to save him with a medical red shirt or a red shirt, whatever the terminology was on it when they sent it off to the NCAA. Knew they could give him 4 games. So what they do, they gave him the 4 most important games. Jordan Davis goes down early in the football game against Tennessee. Julian Rochester plays. They need him bad against Florida. Julian Rochester plays. They need some experience against LSU in the SEC championship game. Julian Rochester plays. They got a whole bunch of, questions about who's going to play, who's not going to play, who's going to opt out, who's going to not in the Sugar Bowl. Julian Rochester plays. The 4 most important games where they absolutely needed a defensive lineman last year, Julian Rochester played. And he's not going to be there anymore the rest of the season. That's a big loss in terms of experience. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. So apart from that, here's my thing. When you guys saw it on the tape yesterday, I don't think they just physically whipped Florida up front last year, getting pressure on Trask. I think a lot of it was schematically whipping Florida up and down that field. They did a lot of stunts. They did a lot of blitzes. They did a lot of wraps. They did a lot of game stunts, all kinds of stuff that was clear to me that they thought as a defensive staff that Florida's offensive line could not figure that stuff out. They could not see those. They could not have their eyes in the correct positions. We showed you multiple clips last night of guys just running free because guards and centers and tackles just didn't have their eyes in the correct spot. That could all be done with Jalen Carter, with Jordan Nazir Stackhouse, Warren Brinson, Tramel Walthour, who I believe is going to get some playing time this week. That can all be done with those guys, even though they don't have tremendous experience. All that stuff can happen. Here we go. Where are we going next? Oh man, I'm way behind. Jeez, StreamYard messing me up. Here we go. Jonathan, what do you think will be the deciding factor between Georgia winning or losing on Saturday? First of all, I think you got to stop Kyle Pitts. Maybe not stop him. I don't think anybody's going to stop him this year. But you got to contain him. And yards after the catch is the main thing for me. He's going to catch footballs. He's going to get open. The problem is you've got to get him to the ground when he does that. Okay. He's one of the best players in college football, period. Not just the tight end position. He's one of the best players in college football after the catch. He's really, really explosive. I believe he had a 60-yard reception or a 70-yard reception earlier in the season, and 90% of it came after the catch. That, like we showed you guys, they're a drag, slants, and deep over type of football team. Everything else is done after the catch. So their explosives come with their receivers making plays. Which is why y'all can ask me about my Kyle Trask takes a little bit later. So here we go. We're going to Barry Bennett, I think. I know Kirby likes containment, but I hope he lets them loose this week. Maybe he does, guys. This is a pass-happy offense. They're throwing the ball, I think, 58% of the time this year. So, yeah, I mean, you don't have to play as gap sound when you're doing those types of things. When your opponent tends to throw the ball more, you don't have to be as run fit sound because they're not running the ball as much. I know, spoiler alert, right? What's up, 478? Dorian, can Stetson deliver? Yeah. I mean, can he deliver a win? 100%. Can he deliver 400 yards and 4 scores? No. It's not going to be it. Just because that's not how they're constituted right now offensively. They don't have the ability, from what I'm seeing on tape, to drive the ball downfield. We heard all offseason this propaganda, if you will. I know the term nowadays is fake news, but what it is propaganda. This propaganda of, oh, Georgia's offense is going to be more explosive than you've ever seen it before. No, it's not. It hasn't been. They are not driving the ball down the field right now. And maybe they will. Maybe this is the week they do it. And I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, his arm's not big enough. No, that's not it either. They had some shots against Alabama. We showed you that on the tape. They're just not connecting on them. There's no sync right now in that. 478 Darren, you keep calling me Austin. My name is Brooks, man. It's all good. It's all good. Look, it's right there. Brooks Austin SI. Not Austin Brooks SI. It's all good. But I appreciate you noticing the cut. I got this one on the way home today. All right, we're at Brett Sellers. What would you recommend UGA staff do with Stetson to make them successful this weekend? It's a very easy answer. Very, very hard to do, though. You got to get the guy easy completions. I thought they did it against Alabama. Came out, ran some sprint pass, got him out of the pocket, got an easy completion to Trey McKitty, and then two or three plays later, he throws an interception off a batted ball. So I would like to see them sprint pass him a little bit more. Which for you guys who don't know that's rollout protection. I'd like to see them get him out of the pocket. The problem is you can't do that all the time because you keep rolling him out. Eventually, they're just going to fire blitz from the slot, and he's going to hit you right in your mouth. So you can't do it all the time. I would like to see them do it a bit more. I would also like to have known whether or not Georgia spent a good portion of their practice this week getting better at running screens. The screen in Todd Monken's offense is heavily used. If you go back and look at it, in 2000, I believe 15, his last year at Southern Miss, Jalen Richard and Ito Smith combined for, I think, 80 receptions, 80 out of the running back position. They were the third and fourth highest receivers on that roster, I believe, maybe fourth and fifth. Either way, they caught the ball a ton. Majority of those were screen passes. I don't see that happening a lot right now. I see it a couple of times a game in terms of screens to the running back because it requires athletic linemen that are getting downfield and making blocks. Right now, Georgia is not doing that. They are not executing on those blocks. Again, we showed you that on Monday. I think they're I'm not even going to mince words. They are bad right now at blocking screenplays. And until they get good, it's hard to make it easy on your quarterback. You're asking him to make tight window throws. You're asking him to get all of his chunk plays down the field where you're driving the football. It's not what this kid does. So yeah, it's really, really hard. DN playing this weekend. You guys got to be. You got to understand that I'm not hip with these. What do you call these? Um, where you just give me initials. So give me some actual names there, David. Stetson Bennett or new Georgia Tech quarterback Jeff Sims. I don't think either play very long. Let's just put it that way. Even though I said it on Twitter the other day, I'm a ceiling guy. I love the ceiling of Jeff Sims. Problem is, if you keep betting on ceilings, you're going to crap out. That's like betting on the green and roulette all the time or double zeros. You can't do it. But when it hits big, man, get the hell out. You just check out, cash out now, leave. But yeah, that's not. I don't think either one of them are playing very much longer in terms of being the starter. I do think Tech gets to transfer quarterback in at some point. Just a hot take there. All right, here we go. Gabriel Thompson. Is UGA still a national contender? The defense makes them a national contender, but if that offense doesn't get better and get more explosive and be able to score with the Alabamas, Clemson's, Ohio State's, no. But they have a chance to get in because they have a really legitimate chance, even as they are currently constituted, to run the table. So yeah, they've got a chance. They are a contender, but right now they are a 2010 Notre Dame contender, in my opinion. They might sneak in there, but they're gonna get their brakes beat off of them if they play like they are right now, offensively. They just can't score. Can't score in bundles at this point right now. When's the last time we've seen Georgia back up 2 offensive possessions where it's 3 plays, 78 yards, score in under 2 minutes? 5 plays, 86 yards, score under 2 minutes. You haven't seen it. I can't tell you when's the last time I saw it. Maybe under Chaney. The last big, massive, explosive one-play drive I remember was Mecole Hardman in the national championship game, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. You fans tend to remember these things a lot better than I do. I'm more of a game-to-game evaluator. Here we go. Jermaine Burton or John Mechie. I'm taking youth there. And you guys know that's a loaded question. 478 Dorian. You know how much I love Jermaine Burton. I'm taking Patrick Surtain there. I'm taking Jalen Waddle there. Davis is going to wear a bionic elbow brace. All fine and good. Does he play down in, down out? Probably not. Jake Fromm or Kyle Trask? Jake Fromm or 2019 Kyle Trask? Ooh, that's a tough question. I don't know. What do they always say? Don't ever ask a woman their weight. Yeah, treat me like a woman at this point. Don't ask those questions. We got the DN playing again this week. Heard Pickens pulled his pectoral, perhaps. What's going on with Arian Smith? So Arian had his knee scoped and had wrist surgery this offseason. So here's what you guys got to understand. When you enter a program like this, any major Power 5 program, bro, they put you through everything. They put you through every physical you could possibly imagine. And if they find something they think they need to clean up now, they're going to go clean it up. So I think that's what happened with Arian. He had to get his knee scoped, and he had the offseason surgery on his wrist. His wrist was already banged up. So there's that. So SSL went and ran the stats down for me. I was correct. 2 out of the 3 years, Jake Fromm threw for less than 250 yards against Florida. Do they roll Bennett out of the pocket more this game? We already addressed this. You can only do it so much, Keon. You can only roll guys outside of the pocket so much, and because it's rather predictable. Right-handed quarterbacks are more than likely going to sprint pass to their right. You're not going to roll a quarterback left, or at least you shouldn't roll a quarterback left and make him throw across his body. And more times than not, you're doing it from the left hash, rolling right. So it can get rather predictable in the sense that if you're doing it multiple times, again, like I said, they're just going to fire the corner or the slot corner and fire him, and then the sprint pass is done. He's sitting in the pocket anyways with a free defender coming to hit him with all of the routes running away from him. So it gets a little tricky. Sprint pass and rollout protection is something that you can only do sporadically. End of story. Who are the X factors for the Dogs on offense and defense in this game? Offensively, I'm going to start with the running backs. You guys know the stats as well as I do. Last 14 years, in this game between Georgia and Florida. The team that rushed the ball the best won the football game. End of story. And you know what? We sat here and we cracked on the offensive staff and the offensive game plan from Kentucky, and I tore it apart. Didn't tear apart the execution. I tore apart the fact that they went up to Kentucky and just took the air out of the ball and ran it down their throat because they knew they could and win that way. And they could win a 14-3 game. My theory on that is if you claim to want to be this explosive offense, then go beat Kentucky as explosively as you know you're going to have to beat Florida, as explosively as you know you're going to have to beat Alabama. Well, maybe they think that they can come down to Jacksonville and just take the air out the ball and run it down their throat too. Maybe that is the game plan. Who knows? And if that is the game plan, boy, are we going to be in for a boring one to watch. I know it's supposed to rain, so I guarantee they weren't checking, 10-day out forecast while they were putting down that game plan against Kentucky. Oh, well, it's going to rain 10 days from now against Florida, so maybe we should get run heavy. I don't think that was the case. I think there's some other things going on. It's like I told you from the jump. The two statistical anomalies in Todd Monken's history as an offensive coordinator over the last decade. This is a decade worth of evidence and statistical data to back this opinion up. It's not really an opinion at that point. It's a fact. There's 2 years, 2012 Oklahoma State and Georgia this year, where they are really, really run heavy. Why? Inexperienced quarterback play. Every other year, he had a decent to a solid quarterback situation in the quarterback room. He clearly doesn't think that he has that right now. And if you guys were to be honest with yourselves, I think you would admit that he doesn't have that right now. You guys don't trust Stetson Bennett as far as you can throw him. I see on my Twitter feed all the time about how you watch 6 reps or 6 series of DeJuan Mathis and you don't believe in him either. Oh, he just ain't got it. Oh, we ain't got time to let that get figured out. I see it all the time on my Twitter feed. Y'all gave up on him too. Y'all aren't confident in him. They see him every day at practice. Every day at practice. And they have strategically chosen at this point to move forward, going back to the brand of football that Georgia lives by. Those aren't my words. That's CKS's words. Some initials for you. That's Kirby Smart's words. Those aren't mine. So yeah, maybe he doesn't trust his quarterback right now, and maybe they can win this football game not trusting their quarterback. But can they beat Alabama and Ohio State and Clemson? That's the real question to me. All you guys want a national championship. They want a national championship. They want one bad, worse than you do. I guarantee it. They just don't think they can win like that right now. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Kentucky was just weird. But it's not just Kentucky. 42% of the time. 42% of the time. And if you take out the 40 pass attempts against 41 pass attempts against Alabama, it's way worse statistically. They are running the air out of the ball right now. Running the air out of the ball. So until that changes, I don't know. I forgot the question. X factors. I didn't even hit the defense. I got on a big rant offensively. It's going to be the running backs. Defensively, holy smokes. Defensively, it's that defensive line, them young guys. And a guy like Chris Smith, what are they doing schematically in the back end? I talked about it last night on what to expect. Without Richard LeCount, you have to limit, I think you do, all the funny stuff that you do, all the pre-snap disguises, all that stuff. Guess what? It's not just Chris Smith that's not ready for this football game or hasn't played in this football game. It's Lewis Cine. Lewis Cine hasn't seen this offense. He hasn't played in this environment, even though it's going to be limited fans there. He hadn't played in the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. He hadn't seen this. He hadn't seen this smoke, as the kids would say. So do they do as much? I don't think so. Do you expect Florida to score 30? I don't believe they will if forced to be one-dimensional. That's the key right there, Chris. This is crisper image. Chris does a great job with our edits. So if there's any young kids watching, any young men that are prospects watching, hit Chris up. His Twitter handle is @ChrisJohnAllen_ on Twitter. He will get you a dope edit or jersey edit swap. All those things we do, the edit we did for Deion Bowie, that's this guy right here. No credit here. That's all him. So back to the question. I think Georgia can make them one-dimensional. I don't believe Florida can run the football. I was talking to Zach Goodall. He does my job for the Florida Gators site down there in Jackson or in Gainesville. He told me there's nights when they're watching this football team and Kyle Trask is their biggest threat to run the football. That's against teams that aren't named Georgia. So Are they going to make them a one-dimensional football team? I think so. Very, very early on in this football game. How long do you think Monken stays at Georgia? Is it just a pit stop before he takes his next head coaching job? Um, Dude, I don't know this. This is a question that only Todd Monken can answer. Okay. Because look, he is getting up. Let's just call it what it is. He is getting up there in age. Does he even want the stresses of being a head coach anymore? I wouldn't. If you're paying me $2.5 million for Kirby Smart to go out and get the best players in the country to come run my system, and all I got to do is take a couple of private jets out to a couple of high school games and convince quarterbacks to come play for me, what? It's the easiest job in the world. Well, it comes with a lot of stress because, you know, if you only score 14 points against Kentucky, everybody wants to fire you and say that you don't know jack crap as an offensive coordinator. So it's a little stressful, but it is a much easier job than being a head coach anywhere else. Being a head coach everywhere else, you've got all kinds of different responsibilities and things that are your job. Whereas at Georgia, you get to kick your feet up and have some of the best athletes you'll ever play with or coach with on the college football level. So I'm there with that. I think if I'm him, I'm staying. But again, I'm not an offensive coordinator like this. Yeah, Willie Jr. says a good point right here. Hit that thumbs up button for me, you guys. And if you're watching on Twitter, just pound that screen a couple times, send them hearts flying. Let's get this thing propped up everywhere we go. Probably already answered this, but I'm just getting here. What do you think would be matchup best against Pitts? I think they bracket coverage him if he becomes a problem. When we watched on tape yesterday, the first half they kind of threw whoever they needed to throw at him in terms of where he was at on the field. They didn't roll anything to him in the first half. They didn't do anything special. They didn't follow one guy with him. I think Kyle Funderburg, who writes for us as well at dogsdaily.com, I think he did a great job today talking about the matchup of the combination of Tyreek Stevenson and Mark Webb. This is the biggest football game they will play all year this year. With a threat like this at tight end, your best option to put him away is to put your star position on him. Look, guys, that's what the star position was created for. It was created for the Kyle Pittses of the world, the Rob Gronkowskis of the world, the RIP Aaron Hernandezes of the world. It was created for these tight ends that move and look like wide receivers at 6'5", 235 pounds. That's what it was created for. You got to have a guy big enough to play, defend against the run. You got to have a guy big enough to blitz. You got to have a guy, athletic enough to cover in space. And you got to have a guy that can move like a corner and hit like a linebacker. And oftentimes they're built like a combination of both, right? Tyreek Stevenson and Mark Webb are the physical combination of your best corner and your best linebacker merged together. That's what they look like. That's the body type of the star position. And it's been created for guys like Kyle Pitts. Make sense? Makes sense. How does the rainy weather play in favor? Look, anytime you got a run-heavy offense going up against a pass-happy offense, it favors the team that likes to run the ball more. Always will. Matter of fact, I played for coaches in high school and college that would quite literally go to bed praying for rain at night. Going to bed praying for rain at night. So let's move on. Hey, Johnny. Hey, what does Georgia need to do on defense to stop that Florida wide receiver Toney? So here's the deal about Kadarius Toney. From what I've seen, most of his completions are anywhere from that behind the line of scrimmage to 8 to 9 yard range. At that point, he's probably going to be open no matter what. Stopping him is tackling him. That is the same thing as Kyle Pitts in this sense. Now, Kyle Pitts can run 20-yard deep overs and be wide butt open. Still a threat after the catch. This Toney dude is freaky after the catch. This body type's also becoming more prevalent in high school and college football and professional football for that matter. These wide receivers that are almost built like old school running backs, where they're 5'11", pushing 200 pounds, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. In Toney's case, a lot bit less, but he's so powerful and explosive that even when you hit him, he's running like he's 210 pounds. You follow me? That's what's happening to the wide receiver position. You're either 6'5" and play on the outside and have really good ball skills and can move and cut, or you're 5'11", 6 foot, 6'1" range. There's really no in between. There's really not. Some of your best wide receivers in pro football, they're not as big as you think they are. Devontae Adams is 6'6'1". Okay. Odell Beckham, 6'6'1". Jarvis Landry, 6'6'1". DeAndre Hopkins, 6'2". Okay. These monsters don't really exist anymore. Yeah, there's a Julio Jones every once in a while. Yeah, there's a Calvin Johnson every once in a while. Yes, there is a DK Metcalf every once in a while. But the more often than not, it's the guys that look like Antonio Brown and look like Odell Beckham and that kind of body style. Well, we're screwed. We have no one other fast. We're screwed. We have no other faster or stronger linebacker or safety to guard Pitts. I don't think you're screwed. I think at that point it becomes a schematic adjustment. Mike says, we have heard how great Trask is, but what are his weaknesses? I think, excuse me, I keep doing that, guys. I keep talking over and over again, and I never stop. So sometimes get some bubbles in my throat. Arm strength. I don't think he's got a massive arm, but he's playing with great confidence in this offense right now. He knows where to go with the football. So for that matter, he's executing really, really well. I don't think he's a tremendous athlete. So there's that. I don't think he has a massive arm. I don't think he's a tremendous athlete, but he's another guy that is a lot bigger than you think he is. Kyle Trask is like 6'5", 230 pounds. He is a big, big man. All right. So he don't drive the ball as well as you would think for a guy that is that size. I mean, number 31 at safety gave up the first touchdown versus Bama, which is just why. I don't know what that means. What do you think is more dangerous on that Florida offense besides Tony? It's definitely Pitts. It's Tony and Pitts. And they're they got a couple running backs, but they don't feed one more than the other from what I've seen. And most of the wide receivers that everybody was so high on preseason, they've kind of been a disappointment. Those aren't my words. Those are Zach Goodall's words. So if there's any Florida fans here, go hop in his mentions. Don't hop in mine. UGA is going through a Georgia Tech mode trying to change their offense. No, that's not true. Here's the deal, guys. I'm going to tell you something right now. Y'all aren't going to like it. Okay. You Georgia fans are not going to like this. Jeff Collins took over the hardest rebuild in college football. Here's why. So everybody knows about Paul Johnson's offense. Okay, let's table the conversation about the offense. Paul Johnson never cared about recruiting. Never cared about recruiting. That Georgia Tech excuse me, that Georgia Tech roster was horrendous, awful, bad, bigly terrible. Right? No good football players on that roster for the most part. No elite football players on that roster because Paul Johnson thought he could scheme up and beat everybody. That's how arrogant he was about his triple option. Okay, so let's take that. He's got to take 4 years to actually build a reasonable, competitive roster. And he's done a decent job so far turning it over. Recruits love him. When I talk to recruits, they love what Jeff Collins is selling. So give it time, Tech fans, even though I know you aren't here watching this because not very many of you follow me. Now, let's talk about the offense, okay? Triple option offenses are built like this, okay? And follow me. The center's the biggest dude on the offensive line in a triple option. Trust me, I played in one. I know. The biggest dude on the offensive line in a triple option is the center. And then it goes down, okay? Guards, short, stocky. They like to pull them, okay? Tackles, might as well be tight ends. They want to get them out in space, cut block, do all that kind of stuff. Wide receivers. What happens with wide receivers in a triple option? They are extensions of the tight end. They're just blockers, okay? Running backs. You got a fullback, a B-back who's a modern-day fullback, and you've got two wings that are basically slot receivers modern day, but they can't catch the football. Or typically they're not used to catching the football. That's why they were at Georgia Tech, because they were 5'10", 185 pounds. Again, that discussion we just had about Kadarius Toney. They are that body type, playing running back, catching pitches, and taking jet sweeps and doing things like that, getting out on the edge. All right. So you go from that offense to wanting to run a more traditional or modern traditional spread offense. So guess what now? Oh, we didn't even talk about the quarterback. You basically got a running back and quarterback. So let's start with the quarterback. Now you've got a guy who can actually, you need a guy who can actually throw the football. Now you need pro style tackles. You need tackles that are 6'5", 6'6", that can pass block and run block. You need guards that are massive human beings. You need 6'4", 330-pound behemoths at the guard position. And at center, you need somebody 6'3 plus. Okay. So every position changed, every single one. That's not even to talk about what they were doing defensively. They had to go through a whole scheme change defensively, too. That one I don't give as much, I don't lend as much forgiveness for. If their defense is terrible, for the most part, that's on them right now. Their offense, that offense is going to be bad for a couple of more years. Give it time. If and understand as their rival fan base that Jeff Collins is doing something that you guys have never had to do at Georgia, not since 1975. Okay, when you got out of or it was probably 1979, honestly, when you got out of the triple option or the wing T or the double wing or anything like that, because you had some freshman named Herschel Walker come in, and y'all were like, well, bump all the wing backs. Let's put them in an I formation. Just let that joker run downhill. Okay, not everybody had that in the 80s. Some people had a prehistoric dinosaur coaching their football team in 2015, running the triple option. The triple option. So it's hard. It's really, really hard to rebuild that roster. Here we go. Y'all, do you think Georgia will do something similar offensively like A&M did? I'll be honest, didn't really watch that game really, really close. Watched the second half pretty closely. But no. I mean, they have some similarities. Everybody that runs an 11 personnel football team has similar tendencies, but from what I've seen, Texas A&M does a lot more traditional RPO stuff, traditional inside zone type of things with the quarterback off the back. Georgia this year has actually gone more to a split zone attack and running a lot more counter. So that's that. That's just next man up talk. I don't know what that means. I think I'm a little behind here, guys. Sorry. Where would you rank UGA right now? I think fifth's probably proper. Matter of fact, I think if Georgia and Notre Dame played right now, I would guarantee Vegas came out with a line of Georgia plus 7.5. Notre Dame is the most overrated football team ever. Always, every single year. Every single year they are overrated. They play one good opponent and they filter or they just fail and then they move on. Okay. They beat a really, really bad Louisville team 12-10. 12-10. Louisville's well coached, but they're going through a transition as well. And at home. So I'm always out on Notre Dame until Notre Dame does something that they don't historically do, which is wet down their leg against good football teams. Look at what they did on the road last year against Georgia. I think I had 7 false start penalties. The most false start penalties at Notre Dame in like 7 decades. Awful. That whole roster and that coaching staff was peeing down their leg inside Sanford Stadium. And they about came out with it because, Kirby did Kirby in the second half. He's just like, hey, we're going to pound that rock, baby. We're going to take the air off the ball. And they did it successfully. So, again, that's why I said last week, I commend Kirby for not giving an absolute damn what people think about how he wins football games. He don't care. He does not care. If he gets to the SEC championship game running the ball 75 times a game, he does not care. Matter of fact, he probably got a smile on his face. Let me ask the chat a question. That's a chat question. Who y'all want for QB1? Daniels, Bennett, Carson Becker, Mathis. I'll tell you what I want. I want Mathis. I've been one Mathis. James Cook versus Bama for like 80 yards. Boom. There's the explosive play. Thank you, Michael. That was a callback from way earlier in the show. That's it right there. It's pretty recent. It's 2 weeks ago. So there you go. Kudos to you, Michael. But it's not a habit. Okay? It's not something they have consistently done. Damn, that was a while back. That was 20 minutes ago. I'm sorry, guys. I'm way behind on these questions. Again, guys, I'm going to tell you, put the question mark actually on your question. So I'm scrolling through a lot of comments, guys. Here we go. Who can stop UGA offense? Anybody with a good run-stopping defense. Flat. I would venture to say Kentucky stopped them last week. 14 points in modern football is your defense playing their backside off. Let's be honest. Georgia led the league or led the nation in points per game last year at 12.6. You hold a team to 14 points, you stopped them. You gave up 2 touchdowns, but for the most part, you stopped them. My honest opinion of Stetson Bennett. I think you guys, just as well as I do, know his limitations. I don't think he can drive the ball effectively downfield. I'm not worried as much about seeing over the line of scrimmage as I am about I don't see a quarterback that knows pocket awareness yet, and you cannot expect him to. Okay. That's not a shot on Stetson. That is a fact that he is 5'10", which he knows, but is only in like his fourth or fifth start. That's really not something that you can expect a guy to have right now. It's something that he's got to build over time. Okay. So until he does that, give him a break, but you got to be patient. My question is, why weren't you patient with the other guy? That's my only question. Why are we sitting here making excuses for number 13 and we weren't for number 2? That's my question. Only one I got. And I don't have an answer for it. I really don't. Um, so yeah, I mean, you can tell me that Stetson Bennett knows the offense more or is in command of the offense more. That's fine. Your offense still scored 14 points against Kentucky. And you only trusted him to throw the ball 13 times, and he still turned it over twice. So what are we doing? Here we go. Brooks, why do you think Stetson's body would get destroyed in the SEC if he ran? He had 2 good rushing touchdowns versus Tennessee and Arkansas. He's 5'10", 175 pounds. Find me the quarterback in the history of the SEC that was 5'10", 185 pounds, soaking wet, and got 5 to 10 rushing carries, true design quarterback runs a game. Find me that, and you and I can have this discussion again. If you can't, which you won't, there's your answer. Guys, these dudes on Saturday are massive. They are massive. They play extremely hard and extremely fast, and they have no regrets about ending your career, straight up putting you in a body bag, 0 regrets. Okay, so that's why. Can he scramble for 5 or 6 yards, get out of bounds, and do so and look like a really good athlete? Yeah, he can do that. But again, it comes back to that. Look, there is a reason there has only been, 3 NFL quarterbacks that have ever really made it at 5'10". It's Russell Wilson, it's Drew Brees, and it's now Kyler Murray. Okay. 2 of those guys are legitimate, freakish athletes. I mean, they run away from guys on NFL Sundays. Okay. Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson are nothing like Stetson Bennett. So anybody who's throwing that out there, well, Stetson, Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray are 5'10". There ain't nobody saying nothing about them. Really? Really? Do I really have to get into that? The difference between those 3 athletes, the difference between Kyler Murray, Stetson Bennett, and Russell Wilson? Do I really have to get into that? 2 of them were first-round draft picks in baseball. Well, Russell was like a third-round draft pick, okay? That's how good of athletes they are, okay? And the other one is Drew Brees. There's literally only been one of him. So if y'all want to say he's that one, then I don't know. There's a reason size matters is what I'm trying to say at the quarterback position and at all positions, really. What's up, Brooks? Hope you're doing well. Hope you are too, Wyatt. My question is, who has the advantage on the line of scrimmage in this game? And does Georgia have the DBs to slow down Florida's wide receivers? Yes, on the DBs. I love Georgia's defensive backs. I think DJ Daniels finally getting a little more healthy. He traveled last week. And I think that ankles, man, especially if they're high ankles, they take about 3 or 4 weeks before you really feel yourself. So I think we're getting to that point now. As far as the line of scrimmage advantage, yes, 100%. I think every single defensive lineman for Georgia could start for Florida. I think most of that offensive line for Georgia could go down to Gainesville and start for Florida. There you go. Here we go. They will not win a ship with Stetson. And last time I checked, that is the goal for UGA. Hot take. Not hot take. Fact. Steve Highland, UGA should win 28-13. Solid prediction. I'll probably have something similar. So if you're not going to win with Stetson, you are wasting time. I'm not saying you're wasting time. Guys, there's nothing wrong with going to the SEC championship game. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just going to be really, really hard. Your defense has to play absolutely lights out the rest of the season against top 10 opponents for you to win a national championship. And Kirby owns Dan Mullen, so I don't worry about that if I'm a Georgia fan. But You saw what that Alabama offense did to him. Yeah, everybody's gonna say, well, Jalen Waddle's not playing. Jalen Waddle ain't worth 17 points. I know he's great. He's not worth 17 points. That line when Trevor Lawrence left moved down 3 points. 3 points in Vegas in the game for Notre Dame. They were favored 14 and a half points. Last time I checked, they were favored 11 and a half points. Trevor Lawrence is worth 3 points in Vegas, but you're going to sit here and tell me Jalen Waddle's worth 17? No. So that's the problem. You're not wasting time. There's nothing wrong about going to an SEC championship game. You guys won national titles every year. Is that a you problem, or is that a Kirby problem, or is that both? Is that Kirby's problem because it's your problem? Probably. SB4 is not a championship quarterback. A lot of hot takes coming in here on that. Reason why Stetson been his QB1. Stetson shows up to practice every day. All of them do. And it's pretty good, just too short. And Kirby trusts him the most. Fine. This is the other one. I tweeted about this the other day. Jamie Newman leaving kind of hurt you. But as someone who watched Jamie Newman throw, and I don't know if he was completely healthy at the Elite 11. I watched it. All these assumptions up close, right? Which is the most valuable evaluation for a quarterback. All these assumptions that Jamie Newman was going to come in and just set the world on fire. I think they're exactly that. They're assumptions. Would he have been better than what you have? Yes. Would he have been the next Joe Burrow or the next Deshaun Watson? I'm not saying that. I don't think so. I think he would have been in a 10-game season. I think he would have been a 2,800-yard passer, would have rushed for probably 500 yards, and put up 35 total touchdowns. A great season. Do not get me wrong. A great season. And you guys would take that in a heartbeat right now at the quarterback position. So there's that. But was he the next coming of Deshaun Watson? No. We are way, way, way behind. All right, I got to pick this up, guys. Here we go. Where are we at? Oh, my gosh. Woo-wee, we got a way to go. All right, I'm going to start rifling through, guys. Here we go. Already 47 minutes in. Do you think we see DeJuan or non-injured JT come out if Stet struggles? No, I don't think they come out. Well, maybe they do. Maybe they pull him, but I think you see I made this joke the other day. I think they Emory Jones, DeJuan Mathis. And if you guys have watched Florida over the last couple of years, you know what I'm talking about. Here, DeJuan, you want to play? Emory Jones, you want to play? Here's 5 design quarterback runs a game. We're going to get you involved. Just go run the ball, come back out. It ain't just Georgia doing that stuff. It ain't just Florida doing that stuff. Everybody does that stuff. Kid gets a little disgruntled, wants some playing time. They say, okay, here's your playing time, and here's how it's going to be. Enjoy it. Can Florida have the same effect on Bennett as other teams have? Yes. If so, yes. What's the scheme? The scheme is to get pressure up the pocket. What kind of question is this, Brian Flynn? Is Pitts that good? Yes. Yes, Pitts is that good. He is that good. First round draft pick. Can Big Cleveland place no tackle? That's funny. Yeah, he probably could. Just go in there and hold stuff down. Here's one for you. I ain't even gonna say it. Yeah, I'm gonna say it. Broderick Jones. Broderick Jones high school highlight tapes of him playing defense. Man, y'all ain't gonna like this one. I thought Broderick Jones was more projectable and had a higher ceiling as a defensive tackle as he did as an offensive tackle, because he's such a great athlete, and I just don't know if the technique ever picks up for him offensive line wise. He's going to be great. He's going to be a great college tackle because he can just stand in front of people and move his feet to get in front of people. But dang, I loved him as a defensive tackle. You let him play Malik Herring's role right now, or next year, or the year after that. Man, Coach Mark talks about wanting to have 3 Jordan Davises. How about a Jordan Davis lined up next to a 6'6", 310-pound Broderick Jones and Trayvon Walker and rotating Jalen Carter? I'm telling you, some hot takes right here coming out at 9:48 Eastern time over here. Here we go. No super chatters. I don't think we see any super chatters. If you want to make sure I get to your question tonight, throw some super chats in because I got a bunch to hit up. Here we go. Do you think Kirby has mismanaged the quarterback room in his time at Georgia? So the Jamie Newman thing is not his fault. Okay, that is the kid making a decision about the kid. I don't think that had very much, if any, to do with what they were doing inside that room or inside that facility. Um, Everybody assumes there was this major quarterback battle. What if there wasn't? They knew JT Daniels wasn't cleared in house. All of them, that whole team knew. So everybody said he was running from JT Daniels. Why? JT Daniels still ain't on the field, so he clearly wasn't running from that one. You think he was running from Stetson Bennett? Absolutely not. You think he was running from DeJuan Mathis? Probably not. Even though DeJuan was lighting it up. So that decision to leave was on Jamie. Jamie decided to leave for Jamie's reasons. It has nothing to do with Kirby Smart. The whole we can talk about Justin. This basically comes down to Justin Fields. That's what this comes down to. And you guys know my opinion on that. If you've got hindsight 2020, you can sit here and say, damn it, Kirby, you screwed up. You kept Jake Fromm, the 5th rounder, over the guy who's going to be a top 5 pick and might win a Heisman this year. Shame on you, Kirby. But what nobody ever wants to mention is the fact that they were coming off a national championship appearance. And every time I say that, somebody's like, oh, well, they had Nick and Sony. So they had DeAndre Swift and it just signed Zamir White. He's shown that it's a bell cow. They just produce running backs year after year. So he thought maybe he could just play run heavy offense and it was a 2nd and 26 away from a national championship. I get why people are saying this, why they have this narrative. He has messed it up a couple of times, I guess, if you really want to look at it. So this comes down to, should he have known based off what he saw in practice that Justin Fields was the better football player and just thrown Jake Fromm to the wind? Yeah, maybe, I guess. It's really hard to do. It's really hard. Now, people are going to say, well, because we had this one last week. Well, Dabo Swinney did it with Trevor Lawrence. Okay. Dabo Swinney's also got 2 national titles. It's really hard to say it. And then somebody will go, well, Nick Saban did it at halftime and won a national title against Georgia. Yep, there you go. 2 of the greatest college football coaches of all time. There you go. That's the only precedence we have for it. Again, I ask you, Chuck, do you think he's talking to Chuck? I mean, he ain't talking to me. Brooks, give me the rundown of your high school and football college career. Not the time for that. 478, we can talk about that. All my people in my Patreon account, if you want to get like real personal with me, I'll ask any question over there. Patreon, and then you get the Discord. That Discord's been jumping lately, man. It's almost like people just want to be there for the Discord. Who ends up with more rushing yards, Zeus, Milton, or McIntosh? Look, guys, I think they feed Zeus the rest of the year. The rest of the year. And it has nothing to do with how Kendall's running. Kendall's running great. It has everything to do with Zamir White. We'll leave it at that. What up, bro? What up with you, Joe B? Is Stetson's limitations going to continue to hold us back? You're 5-1 right now, 4-1. Not really holding you back right now. But yeah, kind of. Yeah, there's a ceiling on your football team. That's for sure. A glass ceiling. Somebody's going to have to bust through. How do you think UGA will attack Pitts? I think they just play him straight up. And then if he starts eating them alive, they bracket coverage him just like they did last year. Minka Fitzpatrick or Richard LeCount Minka. Holy smokes. Minka's one of the best safeties in the NFL right now. And that's coming from captain of the Richie lovers, this guy right here. But yeah, Minka was special, is special. Don't see any question marks here. We got one right here. Brooks, why do you want Mathis at QB1? He threw 2 picks and played bad. Threw 1 pick, first of all, and played bad versus a team that lost every game by 49 points. Arkansas has played really well this year. That struggle against Arkansas, that Arkansas defense is legit. What Arkansas team have you guys been watching this year? They should have beat Auburn. I'm pretty sure they did beat Ole Miss. Arkansas is a good football team. He threw 1 interception. That wasn't even on him. It was on Jermaine Burton. We've talked about this. And I want him because his ceiling is higher. I've told you 100 times, I'm a ceiling guy. That dude gives you a chance to score 40 points if you work through the growing pains with him. But instead, now he's, not very happy. And that ain't breaking news. That's straight up. Kirby told you that. The kid wants to play. He wants to play. And if a kid is coming to your office vocalizing that he wants to play, he is not a happy camper. Scenario we already talked about Mathis coming back in, as I already told you what I think they're going to do. I think they're going to Emory Jones him. If I'm Florida and I see Dwan Mathis come onto the field in the middle of a possession, I am sending the absolute house. I'm playing man coverage on every wide receiver out that's on the outside, and I'm sending the damn house. They're going to design run that kid. That's my opinion. That's what I think is going to happen. And if it don't, I'll come on here next week and I'll tell you I'm wrong. But they are going to run the football with Dwan Mathis. They're going to Emory Jones him. They're going to Justin Fields him. Here we go. Man, this guy speaks the truth. Appreciate you, Ryan. I try to. I ain't got nobody to cater to. That's why. And I'm also very confident in my opinions because they are film oriented, which is the only thing that matters, guys. It's the only thing that matters. That's why this Patreon account is popping like it is. It's why everybody loves the product that they are getting, because it is the only evaluation point. Think about it. When you hear coaches talk in their post-game press conference, what is the number one thing you hear them say all the time? Well, I got to go watch the film. I got to really watch the film to give you an evaluation on that. Why? Because it's the only way to do it. It's the only way to sit there and give an opinion on a kid, or give an opinion on an offense, or give an opinion on a performance of a football team. It is the only way. Now, here's the thing. Kirby or Nick Saban or Dabo Swinney or Dan Mullen or one of these SEC football coaches can sit there and give you a brief opinion after a game without watching the tape. But most of the time, if it's something that they don't feel comfortable about, what do they say? I got to go watch the tape to tell you the truth. But yet we got media members out here writing stories that probably ain't never watched the tape, ain't never grinded the tape. Let's call it what it is. They probably haven't. But yet they're the ones driving and steering the narrative off of what? Off of what? What they watch from the press box or what they watch on TV? If the head coach of the football team doesn't feel comfortable giving an opinion about a kid or a kid's performance after the game in which he was on the sideline watching with the knowledge of the playbook, and tells you straight to your face, I got to go watch the tape before I answer that question, how can you responsibly go answer that question? There you go. Right there. That's why I grind the tape. And because I'm a football guy. Played for so long, played in college. So the last thing I would want some yahoo that don't know what they're talking about writing some story about me. So I'm not going to be that yahoo. I'm always going to try to my best to absolutely 100% know what I'm talking about. Chance that we see JT on the field next Saturday, slim, very slim. Getting a little higher though. Hey Brooks, a little off topic. I'm eating some Burger King right now. Do you have a favorite fast food restaurant? Chick-fil-A, everybody's favorite fast food restaurant. Been digging Moe's lately though. I know it's not a drive-through restaurant, but dang, they get you in and out of there quick. Here we go. Nick Marshall is 6'1", 200 pounds. He's very different from Stetson. Oh, this is a inner commenter discussion right here. Why is Carson Beck not getting playing time? Freshman. Find me the true freshman that has played under Kirby Smart at the quarterback position. You will quickly come to me with Jake Fromm, to which I will quickly respond to you with Appalachian State torn ACL had to. Next question. I have to be blunt and honest at this point. We're running low on time, but that's true, right? If he's not going to start Justin Fields over Jake Fromm with what he's seeing in practice, he probably ain't starting Carson Beck over three other dudes that are probably just a little bit better than him at this point in their career. Thoughts on Channing Tindall? Dude can fly. Closing speed's insane. But yeah, we showed you a clip Tuesday in the defensive breakdown. Whew, man, third string linebacker in the SEC that really don't play that much unless there's injuries. And that dude is legit. He might be like, oh man, what's his name? I got his phone in my phone or number in my phone. Plays for Natrez Patrick. He might be just like Natrez Patrick, where He kind of plays a little bit his final year at Georgia, and then all of a sudden he's like a 4-year veteran in the NFL. He might be just like that because that linebacker room is so deep. Jake Fromm models his game after Drew Brees, which makes sense because they have the same style as Fromm, Drew Brees. Heck no. Fromm is not Drew Brees' skill level. Um, and he's also not there mentally. And what people also have to understand is go check the NFL reference on Drew Brees before he got to New Orleans and started playing with Sean Payton. Y'all go do that one for me. Everyone wants to talk about Drew Brees' shoulder injury, which is why they went with Philip. No, they were pushing Drew Brees out of San Diego. He was not working out. His career was in shambles. He was leaving. They were bringing a rookie in to replace him. And then he hooks up with one of the best offensive minds in the history of the NFL. And now all of a sudden he's broken every single passing record. It's a combination. You can't have one without the other. You don't have Sean Payton without the mental mind of Drew Brees. You don't have Drew Brees without the schematics of Sean Payton. So there you go. When will Lad McConkey play? I think it's a year 2 thing, Carolyn. Caroline. We're gonna call it Caroline. I think it's a year 2 thing. Still some things he's got. Man, he's got some things he's got to catch up on physically. And you guys don't. What people don't understand about Lad is Lad really hadn't played wide receiver, the position he's playing now. He was do it all, Mr. Everything in North Murray High School. Played quarterback his junior year. His senior year, he started playing a little bit wide receiver, a little bit of slot, playing safety, punt return, kick return, things like that. I think the first time we see Lad on the field is as a kick return and a punt return. Here we go. I think we're actually running out of questions. What do you think Demetrius Rogers hasn't broken out at Georgia the way he did at Cal freshman year? I was actually talking to a coach about this the other day, not a Georgia coach. Talking to a coach about this, asked the same question. Why can't they get Demetrius touches? And here's my thing. I'm a big body composition dude. When I say that, when I'm evaluating players, to me, it's really objectifying these young men, but it's how this business works. You've got to look at how their muscular structure is made up, and that'll tell you how they rebound from these injuries. People don't remember because it was a long time ago. Demetrius Robinson tore his ACL his sophomore year, first game of his sophomore year at Cal. Okay, there's 2 types of guys that rebound from ACLs. The guys like Adrian Peterson, Demetrius Robinson, Zamir White that bounce back in like 8 months. And I know Dominic Blaylock retore his. The guys that bounce back like that, go look at their quads. Look how big them things are. They're massive. And here's why. Here's why that helps you in a recovery process like that. If your quads are massive, if all the muscles around those ligaments that you've had repaired are massive, it takes a lot of stress off those ligaments. See, I'm teaching you anatomy tonight. Takes stress off ththose ligaments. So when that happens, you rebound faster. If you look at Demetrius Robinson, man, I almost want to say he's got stick legs. He really is not built up in the lower half. He's just not the same explosive athlete, in my opinion, because they have data on this, believe it or not. They have body tracking and all that stuff. To me, he's just not as explosive side to side as he was when he was at Cal. If you go watch his Cal tape, man, he's running double moves. He's running, post corner post. He's running, hard curl routes, digs, all that stuff. Watch his tape at Georgia. Go right now when we get done with this live stream tonight and type in Demetrius Robinson highlights Georgia. Every single play, I guarantee, is one of 2 things. He's either catching a screen, running a sweep, or running a deep ball where he's got one cut. There are no multiple cuts anymore from Demetrius. That's why he's not the same player, in my opinion, when I watch him. Brooks is spitting gospel. You guys know this. All right, do we got any more questions? We got any more super chats? I didn't miss any super chats tonight because they didn't come in. It's all good. I get it. I understand it. I ain't gonna beg for your money. I do appreciate it though. Well, I am gonna beg for your money right now as we close this out. It's gonna be it for tonight. You guys know, okay, all this knowledge right here, all this stuff all this content that you guys enjoy. There's boatloads of it on the Patreon account. It's patreon.com/Brooks Austin. You guys that are watching on YouTube, which most of you guys are, as SSL saying right now, might as well be my marketer at this point. Join the Patreon account, man. It's legit. it is good information. We do this all week long. We talk football all week long. We educate each other all week long. Um, and I'm telling you, that Discord chat, man, it might be the best reason to come over there. It is a massive community. And look, we don't do that. We don't do that thing where everybody starts cracking on each other and hating on each other. We don't do that. I don't let my boards get like that. My discussion boards, I don't let them. We got good admins over there. Granted, it's not as big as some of these other boards, so I get why those things get out of hand a little bit every once in a while. It's a lot to take care of while you're also trying to do your whole media job. So uh, I understand. I can relate to what's going on over there, but mine aren't like that. I won't let them happen. If I have to pay 10 admins to sit in there and make sure it's not happening, I'm not going to let it happen. That's not me. So join the Patreon account, get all of the additional information. Some of these questions y'all asked tonight, I can give more information about behind the paywall. Why? Because it's not as many. It's not on record. Well, it's on record, but it's not on record. You know what I mean? And it's not free. If you do something that's good, don't do it for free. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. So give me some of your dollars, baby. As we say all the time on the Patreon account, sacrifice that Subway footlong and come hop over to the Patreon account. Guys, it's not a boatload of money. If you just want the video breakdowns, it's $5. You still get one of the Discord chats. If you want to be an OG, if you want the inside intel, if you want an additional Friday film session, it's $10 a month. I guarantee you spend $10 on something stupider in the last week and a half. And if not, maybe you're tight with your money. Maybe you're frugal like I should be. Maybe I wouldn't be out here having a Patreon account if I was as tight with my money as some of you guys are. But I'm not. I like enjoying my life. I like having fun. And that's what we do on the Patreon account. And that's enough of me begging for your money. I will see y'all next week. Have a good weekend, man. The OGs, we'll see you on tomorrow with the Friday film session. And we will also see you Saturday for the watch party. We'll see you guys.